Her text said, "Come." I froze. I was already halfway to the parking lot when her message popped up on my phone. Just one word. "Come." Like nothing happened. Like she hadn't spent the last hour pretending I didn't exist. I stopped walking. My breath steamed in the cold night air. The valet guy looked at me like he wasn't sure whether to bring the car or call security. I didn't move, because my brain was replaying everything, frame by frame. From the moment we walked into that stupid party, to the moment I slipped out the side door without a goodbye. No one noticed I left, least of all her. At 7:42 p.m., I was still standing behind her while she laughed at some joke I wasn't part of. At 8:09, I tried again, tapped her on the shoulder, said I wasn't feeling well. She blinked at me like I'd interrupted a board meeting. "Then maybe go get some air," she said. "I'll be fine." At 8:17, I was outside, hands in my coat pockets, watching the streetlights blur like I'd been crying. I hadn't. Not yet. At 8:26, the message came. "Come." No context. No apology. Not even my name. Just a command. And here's the worst part. A part of me still wanted to go back. Not because I thought she missed me, but because I was starving for any scrap of attention. Even if it came too late. Even if it was hollow. Even if it was performative. That's the kind of marriage we had now. It used to be real, I think. Or maybe I imagined that part. I turned my phone over in my hand. Stared at the building behind me. That rooftop ballroom with its fake gold accents and string quartets. Everyone inside was probably still sipping champagne and laughing like their lives were perfect. Mine wasn't. Mine was unraveling. And the person holding the scissors? She was upstairs, in a backless black dress, pretending I was invisible. So no, I didn't go back. Not immediately. I made a different choice. A quiet one. A dangerous one. And what happened next? Well, let's just say it started with a second text. From someone else entirely. The second message hit harder than the first. Not because of what it said, but because of who it was from. While I stood frozen beside a valet station that smelled like burnt brakes and spilled cologne, my phone buzzed again. This time, a name I hadn't seen in over a year lit up my screen. "Hey, is this still Owen's number?" I stared at it, confused, heart already pounding. Evelyn, Myra's old college roommate. The one who used to crash on our couch during business trips, who once made us homemade brownies and cried during that dumb animal shelter commercial. The one who mysteriously vanished from our lives after that weird summer. No calls, no texts, no explanations. Just gone. And now she was texting me? Now, what the hell was going on? Before I could type a reply, another message came in. I wasn't going to say anything, but I saw something tonight. You need to know. I looked back at the glass ballroom windows behind me. Music still played. Laughter still echoed. Mira was probably sipping her third overpriced cocktail and throwing her head back in that exaggerated way she does when she's trying to impress someone taller, richer, or younger than me. My fingers hovered over the screen. I shouldn't have responded. I knew that. But I did. "What did you see?" It took her 2 full minutes to reply. 2 minutes where I debated going back up, just to see Myra's face when I walked in and caught her mid-flirt. 2 minutes where I imagined grabbing my car keys, heading home, pretending this night never happened. But Evelyn's next message killed that fantasy. She was with someone. Not just talking. Not just friendly. She kissed him. On the neck. Twice. I left. I couldn't watch it. But I thought you should know. I read those lines over and over, hoping they'd change. They didn't. Neck kisses. That's what did it for me. Not the infidelity itself. I'd already suspected something for months. But the specific detail of the neck. That's my spot. The one place she'd kiss me on slow Sunday mornings, when the rest of the world didn't exist yet. Now it belonged to someone else. I wasn't angry yet. I didn't scream or throw my phone or storm back inside. No, I just felt hollow. Like someone had scooped out everything inside me and left this polite, shivering shell in its place. The cold air wrapped around my fingers. My chest felt tight. I sat down on a low planter near the valet stand. And for the first time in years, I genuinely didn't know what I was supposed to do next. That's when her third message came in. Not Evelyn's. Myra's. "Where did you go?" So now I was visible again. Now that her entertainment was over, or maybe things with Sterling didn't go as planned, suddenly, I existed. I could have said a lot. I could have exploded. Instead, I typed one word back. Home. And I turned off my phone. I didn't go home, though. I did something worse. Something that would set off a chain reaction I couldn't stop. Because if I was going to finally unravel this lie of a life, I needed to know just how deep it went. And I knew exactly where to start. I didn't even think about where I was driving until I pulled into the parking lot. It wasn't home. It wasn't a hotel. It wasn't anywhere logical or smart or safe. It was just instinct. Memory guiding the wheel. Rage pressing the pedal. And when I finally stopped the car and looked up, my stomach sank like I'd swallowed a stone. The Lakewood Apartments. Unit 4B. 2 flights up. The place she used to live before we got married. The one she kept for emergencies. She claimed it was sublet. Said the lease was still technically in her name, but someone else handles it. I believed that. I believed everything she said back then. Because back then I still trusted her like an idiot trusts the sun to stay in the sky. But tonight, after that party, after Evelyn's message, I didn't believe a damn thing anymore. I sat in the car for 10 full minutes, watching the upstairs windows. Most of the units were dark. One wasn't. One had a light on, dim and flickering like it came from a lamp someone forgot to turn off. I couldn't see inside, but the curtain was crooked. And that curtain? I recognized it. Navy blue, linen, little gold embroidered lines on the edges. Our old curtain. She never moved out of here. She just stopped letting me in. My hands shook as I got out of the car. My breath fogged up the night. The stairwell smelled like old paint and somebody's burnt dinner. I didn't have a key anymore, but the outer door buzzed open after 3 rings like someone was expecting someone. The whole time, I told myself I was just going to knock. Just ask questions. Just get clarity. But deep down, I already knew. I climbed the stairs slower than I should have, heart in my throat. I paused before the door. Listened. Silence. Then, a soft noise. Movement. A voice. A male voice. Muffled but real. I didn't recognize it. And that somehow made it worse. I knocked. 3 times. The sound stopped. The light flicked off. I waited. Nothing. I knocked again, this time harder. Mira, I said, my voice cracking in the middle. Still nothing. My next move wasn't rational. I admit that. But I wasn't rational anymore. I tried the handle. Locked, but I heard a shuffle. Closer. Then a whisper. Definitely hers. And then, the voice again. Whispering to her this time. I felt it in my bones, that disgusting shift in atmosphere. The electric sense of guilt vibrating through walls. Then came the click. The door didn't open, but the chain rattled. She was checking, making sure I couldn't push my way in. Owen, it's not what it looks like. That's what she said through the crack. That's what she led with. Not, why are you here? Not, you scared me. Not, it's late, go home. Just that tired line people say when they know you already know. I didn't reply, because what could I say? All I could do was laugh, quiet and bitter. And that laugh? It scared her more than yelling ever could. I turned and left. I didn't need proof anymore. She gave it to me the moment she didn't open the door. I got in the car and didn't cry. Not then. I was too busy thinking. Not about revenge, not yet. But about how I'd given 10 years of my life to someone who maintained a secret second address like it was a gym membership. And how this time, I wasn't going to just walk away. Not like I always did. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the parking lot for an hour after leaving the apartment, engine off, headlights dimmed, just staring at nothing. My fingers hovered over my phone, swiping back and forth between old messages, old photos, that stupid text from earlier that now felt more insulting than confusing. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was how normal she made it seem. As if sneaking away to a second apartment with some mystery man wasn't a betrayal. It was just an after-party I wasn't invited to. The rage didn't come all at once. It crept in slow, like fog under a door. I didn't want revenge yet. I just wanted answers. Real ones. And the one person who might give them to me. Her ex-best friend. Shayla. Yeah, that's Shayla. The one she ghosted a year ago after some mysterious falling out. The one who used to be over at our house twice a week until, poof, gone. Mira swore she had no idea why. Said people just grow apart. But Shayla? She never looked me in the eye after it happened. Like she was carrying a secret she wasn't allowed to tell. I hadn't spoken to her since. But I still had her number. And that night, at 2:14 a.m., I called it. 3 rings. No answer. Then, just as I was about to hang up, the call connected. There was a pause. The kind where you can hear someone breathing, but they're deciding whether to hang up or speak. Then, Owen. Her voice was groggy, confused, but not surprised. I didn't even say hello. I just said, I know she never stopped seeing him. There was another pause, heavier this time. Then she whispered, "Oh my God, she never told you." That's when I knew. Right there. That sentence cracked the floor beneath everything I thought I understood about my marriage. Because it wasn't a denial. It wasn't shock. It was guilt. She told me to come over. Said she wouldn't say this over the phone. I drove across the city in the dark, through empty intersections and blinking red lights, running on adrenaline and bitterness. Shayla lived in a tiny condo above a bakery. She met me at the door in sweats, her hair a mess, eyes wide like she was waiting for this night to come. She didn't waste time. "You're not crazy," she said. She never stopped seeing Callan. She just got better at hiding it. Callan. That name hit like a sledgehammer. He was Myra's ex before me. The charismatic startup guy with the designer stubble and the perfectly curated Instagram life. The one she swore she'd never go back to. The one she said taught her what she didn't want. Apparently, he also taught her how to lie with a straight face. I sat down on Shayla's couch, barely able to breathe. She told me everything. How they reconnected at a charity dinner 2 years ago. How it started with messages, then emotional catch-ups, then secret meetings at that apartment she supposedly sublet. How Shayla found out by accident, walking in on Mira video calling him, wearing nothing under a robe she once borrowed from our honeymoon suite. And then, Mira made her choose. Either she stayed silent or she was out of Myra's life. Shayla chose silence, but not because she wanted to. Because she didn't know how to burn the bridge without setting the whole thing on fire. "I should have told you," she said, tearing up. I hated keeping it, but I knew she'd ruin me. She said she'd tell everyone I tried to sleep with you. That she'd spin the story, make me the problem. I was too numb to be angry at her, because all I could think about was how many nights Mira came home late, kissed me on the cheek, and said she was just tired. She wasn't tired. She was full of someone else's time, someone else's touch, someone else's secrets. And now I had one of my own. Because what I told Shayla next, I hadn't told anyone. Not even Mira. Something I'd kept hidden in the back of a drawer. Something Mira wouldn't see coming. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had the upper hand. The envelope had been in my sock drawer for 13 months. Buried beneath unmatched pairs and receipts I never filed. Wrapped in a faded birthday card from my sister I never opened. Mira didn't know it existed. She'd forgotten it completely, if she ever truly knew what it was. But I remembered. And tonight, after everything I'd learned, I opened it. It was nothing special on the outside. Just a plain, white envelope with no markings. But inside, was the card to the safety deposit box I made her sign during the refinance process. Back when we were still pretending to be a team. Back when she acted like she trusted me. I had convinced her it was just for joint emergency documents. Passports, wills, copies of insurance. And she signed. Distracted. Rushed. Because she always skimmed paperwork when I handled it. That little slip of paper, buried under my socks, was my backdoor key. And Mira? Mira had no idea I had started putting things in that box months ago. Documents. Photos. Screenshots. Backups of every suspicious message I'd ever intercepted, every flagged location ping from the shared tracking app she forgot we had installed. A printout of a deleted message that said, "Let's not meet at the same place again. He almost saw your car." Even one blurry security still from the garage at Lakewood. Mira and a man. Tall. Black coat. Her arm wrapped around his waist like she belonged there. I didn't have names. Not yet. But I had proof. And now, after Shayla confirmed what I'd been too afraid to say aloud, I knew exactly what I was going to do with it. But not out of rage. No, not yet. What I felt wasn't explosive. It was cold. Focused. Like frost forming on glass. Creeping in slowly, quietly. Until you wake up and the whole window is gone. I sat in the parking lot of the bank for almost an hour before I walked in. The sun hadn't come up yet. I wore a hoodie and a baseball cap. Looked like hell, but the clerk didn't ask questions. I showed ID. Signed my name. Walked into the little room. Opened box 304. Everything was still there. The folder I'd labeled, for when she finally slips. The memory stick labeled, "Do not open unless she lies again." A thumb drive full of quiet moments that, pieced together, spelled out something loud. At 6:22 a.m., I drove to a copy center 20 minutes outside the city. Printed everything. Found it. Made 3 copies. No one asked what it was. No one looked twice. Then I did something even worse. I mailed the first copy to Myra's office. Attention to the one person I knew she feared more than me. Her boss, Marcy Holloway, Senior VP, corporate image obsessed, known for cutting people loose the second their personal life made the company look bad. The woman who once fired someone for being tagged in a party photo holding a beer. Mira always said, Marcy doesn't do drama. Well, Mira, buckle up. I dropped the envelope in the box. No return address. No note. Just 86 pages of proof. The second copy? That went to someone closer. Someone I hadn't spoken to in over a year. My brother, Trent. Because Mira always hated him. Said he was a bad influence. Said he encouraged my paranoia. But Trent was the only one who saw this coming. And now, I needed him on my side. The third copy? I kept that one in the glove box. Because I wasn't done yet. Not even close. Not after what happened next. Because just as I got home, exhausted, cold, buzzing from adrenaline, Mira was already there, waiting for me. And she had the nerve to act like she'd been worried. Like she hadn't spent the night with another man. Like she hadn't destroyed everything. And the moment she opened her mouth, I knew she was about to lie again. When I walked into the apartment, Mira was already sitting on the couch like she hadn't just committed emotional arson. Blanket over her legs. Hair up like she hadn't even left the house. A mug in her hands. Tea, probably. Always tea when she's about to perform. She looked up like she was startled. Like I had something to explain. Oh, thank God, she said, standing up. Where were you? I've been texting all night. She rushed over like she actually meant it. Like she hadn't ghosted me at the party, kissed someone behind a locked door, and forgotten I was a living person with eyes and ears. I didn't say a word. I dropped my keys on the table, walked straight past her. She followed, fake concern curling around every step. You didn't answer my texts. I thought something happened. You just disappeared and... Stop, I said. It was the first time I'd ever said it like that. No pleading. No shaking voice. Just a solid brick wall dropped mid-sentence. She blinked. Like the code she used to control me had glitched. Then, right on cue, she tilted her head and softened her voice. Owen, are you okay? You seem off. There it was. The gaslight starter pistol. And I was done playing that game. I walked to my desk in the corner of the room and opened my laptop. Mira hovered behind me, quiet but close enough that I could hear her breathing shift, shallow and nervous. I pulled up a folder called Invoices, clicked inside, then opened a subfolder I'd hidden in plain sight. Holloway Docs. She didn't recognize the name at first. I could see it in her eyes. Her expression didn't change, not until I opened the PDF and tilted the screen so she could see it. And there, in black and white, was a photo from the garage at Lakewood. Her and Callan, not kissing, not groping, just standing too close, her hand on his chest like she used to do with me when she wanted something. Then I scrolled to the screenshot of the text. Don't park out front. He was in the area last time. Let's not risk it. Still no reaction from her. So I kept scrolling. The videos. The delivery receipts. The 2 nights her phone pinged a cell tower 2 blocks from Callan's old loft. When she told me she was in Atlanta for work. She didn't speak. Didn't gasp. Didn't cry. She just smirked. Not a full one. Just the corner of her mouth, like the tiniest glitch in the mask. You've been spying on me, she finally said. Not angry. Not defensive. Just amused. I couldn't believe it. That was her play? Not denial. Not regret. Just pure, deranged confidence. Like I'd walked into a burning building, and she was critiquing my shoes. I had to know, I said quietly. Because I wasn't crazy. And you made me feel like I was. She crossed her arms. Like she was the victim. You're paranoid, Owen. You invent problems. You spiral. You always have. I can't even talk to a male coworker without you taking notes. I stared at her, dead in the eyes. You kissed him. On the neck. Twice. That shut her up. For 3 seconds. Then she laughed. A soft, mocking sound that scraped the inside of my skull. So Shayla's been talking. That's when it clicked. She wasn't shocked that I knew. She was shocked who told me. And just like that, her mask dropped for real. She stepped back, arms falling to her sides, face twisting, not in sadness. Not in fear, but in contempt. So this is what we are now? You teaming up with the people I cut out of my life because they didn't know how to stay loyal? I stood up, closed the laptop. You really think loyalty means covering for your affairs? She didn't answer. And honestly, she didn't need to. Because I already had. I reached into my coat pocket and dropped the envelope on the table. The fourth copy, labeled in Sharpie. For her. Her hand hovered over it for a second. Then she looked up at me, eyes narrowing. What did you do? I smiled. Just a little. Not because I was proud. Not because I won. But because for the first time in years, she was the one asking the questions. And I wasn't giving her answers. Not yet. Mira didn't open the envelope that night. She stared at it like it might bite her. Like opening it meant losing control, and she'd rather pretend it didn't exist than face what was inside. Fine by me. The damage was already set in motion. That envelope was just a courtesy. The explosion had already been triggered hours before she ever knew the fuse was lit. She barely spoke to me before bed. Didn't sleep in the same room. Didn't slam doors. Didn't yell. That's not her style. Mira doesn't do emotional. She does silent judgment. Weaponized silence. The kind that tries to shame you into folding first. But I didn't fold. I barely slept either, but I wasn't restless. I was calm. Not proud, not even satisfied. Just done. After years of second-guessing myself, blaming my instincts, rewriting my own reality to fit hers, I was finally standing still while she started spinning. It all began around 9:12 the next morning. I was in the kitchen, making toast I wasn't going to eat, when I heard her phone ring in the bedroom. The sound stopped fast. Then a second ring, different tone. Work line. I knew that one because it had been silent for months, and suddenly she'd turn it back on this week. Then came her voice, raised but muffled. No, I don't know what that is. Pause. Who sent you that? No, it's edited. Someone's trying to cause. I didn't even have to listen further. That would be Marcy. Envelope number 1. I grabbed my coffee and sat on the arm of the couch, out of view, just listening as she paced the hallway. Every step sounded sharper than the last, like her heels were cracking her own foundation. Then came the knock at the door. She flinched. I heard it from the hallway. Her footsteps stopped cold. I stood up slowly and walked over. 2 envelopes in hand. One addressed to Mira Holloway. One addressed to Human Resources, Confidential. Both taped together. No return name. I opened the door and found a courier, clipboard in hand. He looked bored. Sign here. I did. I watched Mira step into view as I set the packages on the dining table. Her face was blank, unreadable, but her eyes were darting. Calculating. Who sent that? You'd know better than me, I said, sipping the cold coffee. They're addressed to you. She didn't open them. Not right away. She waited until I left the room. But I'd already seen enough. I had called HR myself the day before, not out of spite, but out of fairness. If her company claimed to value ethics and image, they deserved to know what their senior account executive was really doing while representing their brand at exclusive events and client dinners. The second call came around 11:04. This time, from a number she didn't recognize. She didn't answer it on speaker, but I could hear her tone change, defensive at first, then scared. The type of fear that slips out when you realize something you controlled is now public. Her pacing turned into locked door silence. The third call. She answered it in the hallway, whispering. But she didn't know I was already looking at my email. Because Trent had forwarded me something just 15 minutes earlier. A private message thread. From Callan's fiancé. Yeah, fiancé. The man Mira had been sneaking off with? Not just some rebound. Not just a fling. A full-time fraud with a diamond ring in his pocket and a double life on his calendar. Apparently, his girl found something too. A backup phone. Messages from Mira. Screenshots of hotel bookings. The works. And she wasn't just mad. She was furious. So she did what scorned women do best. She reached out. To me. To Shayla. To others. Apparently, she and Shayla had mutual acquaintances. And now, the web was unraveling faster than any of us could keep up with. By 2:30 that afternoon, Mira came into the kitchen, pale and shaking. She didn't sit. She didn't yell. She just stood there, arms crossed tightly, staring at the countertop like it had betrayed her too. You don't understand what you've done, she finally said. I looked up at her. Calm. Steady. No, I replied. I understood exactly what I was doing. You just thought I never would. She didn't cry. I don't think she's capable of it. Not real tears, anyway. She looked at me like she was trying to figure out who I was, like the man standing in front of her couldn't possibly be the doormat she married. And then she said something I'll never forget. This was never about love. You just didn't want to be left behind. I stood slowly, walked past her, opened the hallway closet, and grabbed the small overnight bag I had packed days ago, just in case. "You're right," I said. "But now I'm making sure you are." And I walked out. It's strange how fast the silence becomes peace. The first 3 days after I left were messy. I crashed at Trent's place. Slept like a brick. Ate whatever he put in front of me. Answered almost no one. Ignored Myra's texts. Let the chaos run its course without me. I didn't need to fuel it. The truth had momentum now. It didn't need my help anymore. She tried calling at 1:07 a.m. on the fourth night. I watched the screen flash and fade from my borrowed pillow and didn't even consider picking up. That was the last time she tried. By then, HR had launched their internal ethics investigation. Callan had apparently gone dark, deleted socials, shut down his site, ghosted everyone. Myra's name quietly disappeared from the company's project leads page the next week. Shayla confirmed what I already suspected. She'd been placed on leave pending review. I didn't feel triumphant. I just felt lighter. The apartment lease was in my name, so she moved out before the month ended. I never saw her pack. Never saw her leave. She hired someone to do it. That was Mira to the end. Always delegating the dirty work. Always keeping her hands just clean enough to pretend she had no part in the wreckage. But me? I started to rebuild. Slowly. Messily. But honestly. I picked up more projects. Got back into aquarium design. Helped a local children's hospital set up a therapeutic marine tank. Their idea, not mine. But I found myself staying after hours just to watch the kids press their hands to the glass, their faces glowing with wonder. Something about that reminded me of what it felt like to care without being manipulated. I started sleeping better, eating better. I even cut my hair. I stopped feeling like a ghost in my own life. And then, a month later, someone knocked on my door. Not Mira, not Trent, not Shayla. It was Evelyn. Yeah, that Evelyn. She stood on my porch in jeans and a maroon jacket, holding a small box and a look that said she didn't come for drama. "I found some stuff that belonged to you," she said. The box had a notebook I used to sketch in, one of my old hoodies, a tiny, cracked photo of me and Mira from when we first started dating, back before things got complicated, before I started losing pieces of myself one boundary at a time. But that's not why she came. She stayed for coffee. We talked for over 2 hours. Turns out, she left because she knew what Mira was doing, and she couldn't pretend anymore. She didn't say much about it, but she did say this. "You were the only real one in that whole story. I just didn't think you'd believe me back then." And honestly, she was right. I wouldn't have. I wasn't ready to see it yet. But now I'm not just ready to see it. I'm done living in it. Evelyn and I didn't turn into anything romantic. At least not right away. But she called again the next week. Asked if I wanted to help her pick out fish for a tank she was setting up in her new place. And I said yes. Not because I needed a rebound, but because for the first time in what felt like years, I wasn't dreading the next thing. I was looking forward to it. The last message I ever got from Mira came a few weeks after that. Just 5 words. "Do you hate me now?" I didn't reply. Not out of spite. But because the truth is, I don't. I don't hate her. I just finally stopped loving the version of her I made up in my head. And I started choosing myself instead. Not in a loud, dramatic way. Just in a quiet, permanent one. And that's the best revenge of all.